I love the military today compared to the military that I fought with during World War II. We were a different breed of cat, so to speak, because in World War II, where I participated in campaigns and where I was fighting against the enemy, against the Germans, on the ground, parachuting from an airplane, right in the midst of the enemy, being surrounded by the enemy and having to fight our way through and work our way through to accomplish what we had to do. And that is the war of World War II was quite different because the soldiers were different. The soldiers that we had in World War II were men from all over the country, but they were all non-professional soldiers. Most of them were draftees. I joined the Army in November of 1941, just 1 month before Pearl Harbor. And we all had the same ideas about what the fighting was about. We knew we had to fight the Germans and we had to fight the Japanese. We prepared for D-Day in England for months. The men who had volunteered to be the first ones to jump in were called pathfinders because we were to land in wherever we were to go, which we eventually found out, of course, would be Normandy. But we didn't know until the night before we jumped. So finally, when we boarded the planes that night, and with this picture, this is the picture that was taken. Here's a picture that was taken the night we boarded the plane. We were in plane number 18, so we weren't alone. But all these planes were going to different directions, different parts of France. So anyway, and here's the crew of the plane. So here's the Pathfinders. We are the Pathfinders for the 3rd Battalion. Jumping that night was a nightmare. It was all hell broke loose after we hit the coast of Normandy. When we flew from England, we boarded the planes, we took off. We had to fly south, go across the Channel, and then we came into the Cherbourg Peninsula. We came in from the west coast, and we were heading east to the east coast. And then after we got towards the east coast, the planes would drop us about 10 miles from the beaches. And then after the planes emptied, we hoped they'd be empty except with the crew, they would continue on and they would fly right over the beaches of Normandy where the men were coming in at 6 o'clock the next morning. And we were already there. We were already there about 1 o'clock in the morning.
When we hit the ground, as we were flying, and the first signal that we got that there was sporadic gunfire coming up at us, and then finally it was blasting. Everything was breaking loose in the sky. The aerial bursts that they were shooting at us, anti-aircraft fire, the Germans were shooting up at us, and before we jumped out of the plane, my toes were curling up in my boots. I said, I didn't want my toes to get shot off. I didn't want the soles of my feet mangled by gunfire before I even got out of the plane. When I hit the ground, what am I going to be like? So those are the thoughts I had in my mind while I was getting ready to jump. So we get the signal, the green light goes on, that means we're ready to jump.
Go, 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 go. And so I was the 4th man on the plane. Lieutenant Gene Williams was the 5th. And Theodore Richardson was the 3rd. So 3, 4, 5. And we were the first 3 people. We were the first people to talk to one another when we hit the ground. That's how close we were together.
The radar signal, the signal I had was called the Eureka. I was carrying Eureka, and Theodore Richardson was carrying the Eureka set. It weighed about 40, 50 pounds. We were carrying that on our front.
So I had to jump with a 45 Colt revolver, a revolver, 45 revolver in my pocket, and as well as all the food I had in my pocket and the grenades I had around my chest and the bandoliers of ammunition that I was carrying. I carried as much as I could, as well as carrying that radar set that had to send the signal to bring the other men in.
So when we finally hit the ground, it was a revelation, and it was a relief, because once I hit the ground, I said, I'm safe. I didn't get hit yet. Maybe I can escape any further hits. We were there to protect the men who are coming after us, so that and we were to protect the men who were coming off the ships across the channel and landing on the beaches. We had to protect them from the rear.